Coming up on this edition of Cogeco News, new coronavirus modeling described as stark and sobering. A stronger appreciation for truckers during COVID-19, and in sports, ties at the top. Welcome inside the URTV studio for this Friday edition of Cogeco News. Truly local, my name is Clark Heupel. Ontario health officials released new projection data to map the future of the coronavirus in the province. Data suggests that anywhere from 3,000 to 15,000 people could die from COVID-19 over the course of the pandemic, which could last upwards of 2 years. In response to the new data, Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced new business closures, cutting the essential services list virtually in half. Nipissing MPP Vic Fedeli joined us over Skype to discuss. So just moments ago, Premier Doug Ford announced startling statistics, and if that didn't put a chill down your spine, nothing will. What is the sense right now as latest modeling released by Ontario health officials?
Well, the numbers shared today are very sobering, and as you know, the health and well-being of all families is our government's top priority, and I think it was very, very important that the Premier do what he did. It was, I think, a tough decision, but in order to ensure that Ontario families are fully informed how the Premier is making decisions and what information he had, he felt that it's very important that the people of Ontario know these numbers as well. Because they reveal a disastrous path that has been avoided, but it serves as a call to arms for greater action that's needed to make sure we avoid a catastrophe here. So we saw that we could have had tremendous deaths in Ontario. The forecasts, and it's still a chapter that's being written. These are only forecasts, but nonetheless, the Chief Medical Officer of Health is telling us that we could see 80,000 people in Ontario sick today, or by the end of the month, and we could see 1,600 deaths by the end of the month. And that's 2 an hour, and that's, quite frankly, a shocking and a sobering bit of news for the people of Ontario. But it's a chapter that's being written, and we can intervene on that chapter and, quite frankly, write the ending.
What measures have been put in place to take those numbers and lower them?
You will see something that we've had to do. It's almost the unthinkable, but industrial construction, for instance, will be stopped on Saturday. Only critical infrastructure will be allowed to proceed. We're closing the vast majority of workplaces. There is a list. You can go on to ontario.ca, stop the spread, and you'll see the list of essential businesses. You can also call the 1-800 number, 1-888-444-3659 to get information. But quite frankly, the vast majority of Ontario workers will soon be home. And we're telling everybody, stay home. You've heard a lot of expressions, Clark, like social distancing and flatten the curve. Well, this is real. This is not a drill. We really need to push that number down. The medical officer of health showed us what it could have been, 100,000 deaths. They still forecast we could have anywhere from 3,000 to 15,000 deaths by the time this is over. They're forecasting 1,600 deaths by the end of April, but we could turn that around by doing what we're doing and shutting down shutting down essential businesses. We've limited the deaths so far, and this could further change the ending.
Meanwhile, Trade Minister Fedeli addressed the pressure from U.S. President Donald Trump on mask manufacturer 3M to stop sending supply to Canada.
While the whole world
is scrambling to get their hands on as many masks and gloves and visors and ventilators as they can. And of course, Canada and here in Ontario, we're no exception. But I know that the Premier Ford has been in touch with both Canada's Deputy Prime Minister on this urgent file, and I know he spoke today with U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer. And I realize these are unprecedented times and they call for unprecedented cooperation amongst all our jurisdictions. But we know that we can't rely on anyone else moving forward, and we need to make all these things in Canada, and Ontario is our manufacturing engine. So that's why we launched our portal, Ontario Together, and that's for companies to go online, ontario.ca/Ontario Together, and submit your proposals so that we can procure these goods that are in such demand. And we have also set up our $50 million Ontario Together Fund, including companies right in Northern Ontario, everywhere else, to hear directly from our businesses to solve some of these more complex challenges.
Meanwhile, the Economic Development Department of the City of North Bay hosted a video conference with local leaders to address the eventual economic recovery of the region. Mayor Al MacDonald was joined by MP Anthony Rhoda and Nipissing MPP Fideli.
We have closed down our arenas, so we've lost over $200,000 in revenue. We've made transit free, so you can imagine the impact or cost that will be to continue to run our transit, although we've made the adjustments to the routes to be as efficient as we can. We won't reopen the budget, but we've canceled all discretionary spending. We've closed down just about every city facility, but we've redeployed those workers in other areas. So they're out there working right now, just not in those facilities, but out in different areas in our community.
Right now, Parliament has passed a $107 billion aid package to aid it's basically a response to what's going on. And it's the largest economic program in Canadian history. As I mentioned earlier, the nice thing about this is it was accepted unanimously in Parliament and continues. Now, there'll be another meeting next week. Hopefully everyone continues to work together. I have no reason to see why anybody would argue. It seems to be working very well, and MPs are working together to make sure that Canadians and Canadian businesses get the support they need to bridge them through these difficult times.
Ontario is the economic engine of Canada. We are the manufacturing breadbasket for Canada as well. And we are going to see tremendous supports being put forth in Northern Ontario as well to help starting companies to make products here in Ontario. Import less, export more. This is going to be really key in our recovery. We've already started on this. We have a huge amount of my staff in Toronto that are devoted to the future and where we're going to be. They all want to work on today. They all want to work on the next weeks, but we carved out a piece of our ministry.
The trucking industry is facing changes to their regular routines, which means they have to adapt to things the drivers do, like closing restaurants, less washroom availability, and food shortages. We spoke to one local trucker about how COVID-19 has changed his life.
No hockey, no sports to talk about. You can't tell me your kid just did good in karate. You know what I mean? Like, friggin', there's nothing else to talk about. People aren't doing anything.
That's what's on Andy Barry's mind. A trucker for over 20 years, he's certainly seen the effects of COVID-19 while on the road.
It was a lot harder now that word's getting out. The communities and towns are pulling together and know that us truckers are in high demand and they are starting to help us out.
Barry says he's starting to feel the effects of being on the road.
I honestly would rather be home with my family right now, but I know it's a necessity to move on and we will get through this. No traffic at all. A couple big trucks we fly through, and especially down in the Toronto area, It's there's no traffic at all. Very strange. Yeah, normally it's bumper to bumper down there. Now you just seem to fly along. And actually, the other day, I passed a few different groups of people, and they all gave me the old honk the horn, and seemed odd that it was a couple of grown couples, but just makes it feel that we're needed, and they're happy for us right now.
Barry's wife is a nurse who works in the intensive care unit at the North Bay Regional Health Center. He worries about her health as well.
Yeah, well, her job seems a lot more scarier than mine, but we do a family walk every night, and we keep our distance from our neighbors, but like I said, we'll get through this and hope for the best.
We have reached break time here on this Friday edition of Cogeco News. More local news, weather, and sports right after this very short break. Welcome back to Cogeco News. The Royal Canadian Service Bureau remains open during the COVID pandemic. While limiting their service to telephone only, the Bureau is encouraging Armed Forces veterans to reach out and take advantage of what they have to offer. Provincial service officers of the Royal Canadian Legion Service Bureau provide representation and advocacy services for Armed Forces veterans. While much of their work has been done face-to-face in the past, that has changed during the coronavirus pandemic.
Oh, it's tough on them, obviously. I mean, they can't go out. They're told to stay in, and the majority of our clients are over 70, so they've been calling for assistance. We have branches that are delivering groceries to them and prescriptions. We've had branches that, for instance, in Penetang, which is also in my area, and Penetang, they've had calls from children of veterans from Montreal and Toronto asking them to go and pick up groceries and prescriptions for them and deliver them, and they'll do that.
During these unprecedented times of widespread closures, the financial strain on Legions is amplified.
And it's very difficult for a lot of the branches now that aren't really that financially stable. But we're just hoping that things can get back to normal and we can start having events held at our branches and open for meals and etc. It's very difficult, but the Legion is here to help. So we have our benevolent funds, we have our homeless veterans program, we have applications for disability benefits, and if someone receives an unfavorable decision, we can help them with the appeal process. So we still have our program still going strong.
A new veterans hotline has been set up to assist.
For anyone that needs assistance and can't get through to my office, they can call this hotline, and our person at our head office in Aurora will forward the person on to the appropriate district or the different offices.
The Victorian Order of Nurses, the VON, is always there to help people in need, and recently They needed people to help them. The Meals on Wheels service they run was in dire need of volunteers, and they got that help as they transition into the COVID-19 era.
So we're still offering all of our services. They're just being serviced in a different way. We still have all of our community nursing, PSW, our respite, our home support, as well as our Meals on Wheels, which is in a huge demand right now as more seniors aren't able to get out or people with health problems. So we're still offering hot and cold meals, hot and cold through Castle Home Monday to Friday, and then Appetito orders that come in frozen. And we have had a huge response in regards to Bay Today's article. So a lot of volunteers have signed up in the last few days, but we need more long term. The numbers are going to keep rising for the meals that we need. We're over 200 meals a week, so we do need those long term volunteers, and we're very thankful for our current volunteers and for the people that have responded to the Bay Today article.
The VON does a lot of work with seniors in regards to physical fitness and keeping them active. Of course, different things have to be employed now since they can't really do it face to face.
So we're doing it in a very unique way. VON North Bay has all of the Northeast District. So we have over 100 locations that need exercise. We service more than 750 individuals every week for exercise, approximately 200 of those in North Bay. So right now we are in the process of having exercises recorded to go on television. We are working on having call-in exercises in North Bay, especially for the Place St. Vincent individuals. Across the north, we do have a lot of phone-in activities and exercises, a lot of relaxation, a lot of breathing, just to keep people engaged, to keep their serotonin levels up, and to keep them connected to the services.
VON staffers taking every possible precaution when in the field for every type of scenario they have to deal with.
Full PPE, we also do have a very strict screener. So people are being screened over the phone before visits are being made. The office door is locked. You're getting screened before anyone can enter. There are, the 6 feet distances between people. So we're being extremely careful while still delivering our services.
Actually, I kind of like this thing. If somebody to the volunteers, are they being asked to, like for the Meals on Wheels, are they asked to wear full PPE as well?
They're not being asked to wear full PPE. We do have measures in where we're not going into the homes anymore. You are leaving the food on the doorstep. People know when the delivery times are between 11 and 1 o'clock, so we are reducing the amount of contact with services. VON Corporate does have a strategy plan. We have different levels of pandemic responses. So right now we are code bronze. So corporate is giving a lot of information to us. We do have our team leads, our senior managers that are providing information.
And we are very happy to announce that we do have an upcoming show on your TV. It's the Smart In-Home Exercise Program. Check your local listings for future air dates of your at-home workout right here on your TV. A peer support phone line has been set up by People for Equal Partnership in Mental Health. The new warm line is available Friday 9 to 5. Sisters of the community facing challenges in this time. People tend to call their don't know name or anything like that. Is it and be kind of
so I name if they name give mine as first name nothing it's not cool.
And how's all volume been and receiving all?
It's starting to pick up, so I think we're getting out there. Initially, when we started, like I said, so quick, so maybe 5, 6 calls a day. Now we're about 10.
And is like calls every day? Are they able?
Yep, I've had you. I think everyone's feeling it. Thank you, right? And some of the members that I have, they're just naturally that way. So it's like it's magnified to them. And most of our programs is getting them out of their place of residence or getting them wherever they're staying, getting them in here, talking about these things and everything going on. We're doing the complete opposite and telling them to stay away.
Right now, it's just kind of hanging there, and it would.
Yeah, that's a good message. We're there if you want to call, I guess is the other message.
And we will have another message right after this short break. Stay tuned.
brought to you by York. Great thing here.
Welcome back. News as we Eastern T20 next 5 days have digit degrees high to 5 day as Jesse and James know as they continue to grow drops night low of the clouds in the sky. Warm for the high, mine for the low at night. Monday now, the sun and a low of -3. Looking at the news now, 10 and 0 day. And Tuesday with sun 10. Turning the page Thursday, we had a high 8 of 1 below. The normal pretty close. 11 is a normal 4 below is this time of year. Information passed away concerning coronavirus resources, canada.ca/COVID-19 on the federal level. Provincially, you can go to ontario.ca/coronavirus. You can call Telehealth Ontario at 1-866-797-000. And myhealthunit.ca is the North Bay Prairie Sound District Health Unit's website. We have reached break time here on Cogeco News. We have your sportscast as Italian first overall. All that more after this.
Sport is brought to you to for all your stress needs.
Welcome back to Cogeco News. Time now for your sportcast. The North Bay Battalion has selected 16-year-old Toronto defenseman and first overall in the OHL priority selection. Nelson is a blue liner of the Toronto Junior Canadiens has joined and did join over a video conference this afternoon to announce the pick.
We sit here as the first selecting team, but those close to our team have seen the growth of the second half of the season and the promise in our young group. It was imperative that we add to this momentum. We feel we are adding a player and we can do that. I will now pass the floor to our Director of Scouting, Charles Dabb, to announce the newest member of our team.
Thank you, Adam. The North Bay Battalion are very pleased with us that we selecting from the Toronto Junior Canadian defenseman Ty Nelson. To show Ty around our city and introduce him fans, but we are fortunate enough to come here via video link.
So Ty's been doing his best to keep this a secret, as you can imagine. His 15-year buddy has been patiently waiting on his career. So please find Nelson.
I thank my father for all the dedication of hard work that they've done to me. I would be where I am today without them. I also thank all the coaches, teachers, and trainers that I've had over the years. They've definitely helped me be the person that I am and become the player that I am today. Mr. Abbott and the Abbott family, Mr. Dennis, Coach Houlihan, and Coach Winstanley, thank you guys. It's an honor to be driving an amazing organization, North Bay, to the city of North Bay, and to the fans, battalion fans. I just wait to get started. I like to have myself as a two-way. I love playing in the zone and really shot on the zone. When you did, I love playing game making it out for pass and cracking the power game and playing only.
Now, the highly rated Adam Fantilli available for the draft. The Niagara Ice selected Bill rather overall on and have a chance. Adam with their 6 last year in the U.S. draft. Well over pick over rounds. You can watch live show website at 9 a.m. on Sunday. Have a full up visit Cogeco News. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Friday. We'll see you back here live at 5 on Monday.